أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. And he is the one who sends the winds carrying good news before his blessings, until when they lift up the heavy clouds, we drive them to a dead land, and there we pour down the water. Then with it we bring forth of all the fruits. This is how we bring forth all the dead, so that you may observe advice. Commentary. In previous verses, Allah Ta'ala has mentioned some of his major and particular blessings by pointing out to the creation of the heaven and the earth, the day and the night, the sun and the sun, moon and stars, and how they serve human beings. The lesson driven home is that there is no power other than the sacred being of Allah Ta'ala to take care of our needs and comforts. Then it becomes necessary that we should pray to none but Him for everything we need, and take this turning to Him as the key of our success. Also mentioned in the first of the present verses are some other important blessings of this nature, on which depends the existence and survival of human beings and the entire creation of the earth. For example, the rains and the trees and the farmlands and its produce. The difference is that the previous verses mentioned blessings relating to the upper domain, while the present ones belong to the lower. Something special has been identified in the second verse, where it is said that these great divine blessings are, they'll come to all parts of the earth as rains when they come and fall on rivers and mountains, and on good and bad lands alike. But what grows from the earth grows only from the land which has the quality to make it grow. Rocky and sandy lands do not derive benefit from these rains. The conclusion being drawn from the first verse is that the sacred being which enables dead land to live again should have no problems in making human beings who once lived then died come to life once again. The conclusion so drawn is very clear. Then there is another conclusion drawn from the second verse. It tells us that the guidance coming from Allah Ta'ala in the revealed books, the blessed prophets, and the teachings and training undertaken by their deputies, the ulama and mashaykh, are like the rains common to every human being. But the way every land does not derive benefit from the mercy of rains, very similarly the benefit of this spiritual rain is derived by those who have the ability to absorb it. As for those whose hearts are like rocky and sandy land, not having the ability to absorb it and make their growth possible, they would keep sticking to their ways of error despite clear guidance and signs and scriptures. The conclusion thus drawn comes from the last sentence of the second verse, which says, "Thus we alternate verses for people who pay gratitude." The sense is that the statement was made though for everyone, yet in the ultimate consequence it proved beneficial only for those who had the capacity for it and realized its worth and value. Thus the capacity for it and thus the two verses quoted here cover the subject of human origin and return. Now we can go to a fuller explanation of these two verses. The first verse begins by saying, "And he is the one who sends the winds carrying his good news before his blessings." Here the word riyah is the plural form of ri, which means the wind, and bushran means good news or glad tidings, and rahmat refers to the rain of mercy. That is, it is Allah Ta'ala Himself who sends the winds to announce the good news of the coming rain of mercy. The sense of the verse is that it is the customary practice of Allah Ta'ala that He sends cool winds before the actual coming of rains, which not only please people but also in a way foretell that rains are coming much before they actually do. Therefore, these winds are a combination of two blessings. They themselves are beneficial for human beings and bracing for the creation in general. Then they announce the rains before its coming. Human beings are a highly sensitive model of creation. Rains may stop them from doing what they need to do. If they could naturally find out about the coming rains ahead of time, they would be able to manage things for themselves. In addition to that, one's own person and belongings are not at all times defended against rains. By having early indications of rains, most would be able to take protective cover for themselves and their belongings. Then it was said, until when they lift up the heavy clouds. The word sahib means the cloud, and thiqal is the plural of thaqil, which means heavy. That is, when the winds lift up the heavy clouds. Heavy clouds refer to the clouds laden with water. They would as if travel or riding on the shoulders of the wind, and thus this water, weighing thousands of tons, comfortably rides high on the wings of the wind. How wonderful is the divine design, for which uses no machines, nor lets human beings slave for it. It is as simple as it can be. When Allah Ta'ala wills, vapors from the water start rising upwards, turn into clouds, and what you have is a sky-filling plane carrying a cargo of hundreds and thousands of gallons of water in its holds, flying on the cushion of winds towards higher altitudes. After that it was said, we drive them to a dead land. The word sawq means to drive, herd, or urge on towards a desired destination, and balad means a town or habitation, and mayit means dead. The verse thus means, when the winds lifted the heavy clouds up, we drove the clouds to a dead town. Dead town refers to the habitation rendered desolate because of a scarcity of water. That a town or habitation has been named here in place of a common open land is appropriate in view of the real purpose of sending the rain, because it is designed to feed the thirsty land and enable it to produce what human beings need. The place to do so would be a habituated area, not an inhabituated forest, primarily where the initial growth of vegetation is less likely to serve the initial purpose. Up to this point, the description in the quoted verse proves the following. 1. That rains come through clouds as commonly observed. This tells us that verses in which raining from the sky has been mentioned. There too the word sama refers to clouds. Then, not improbable is the likelihood that clouds originate directly from the skies, as opposed to monsoons originating from the waters and bring rains. That clouds go in a particular direction and over a particular land area is something related directly to divine command. It is He who gives the command for rains to fall when He wills, where He wills, and as much as He wills. The clouds implement the divine command everywhere. Divine command. It is something observed everywhere. There are occasions when a town or habitation would have heavy overhead clouds, and they would very much be in need of rains, but the clouds would not let them have even a drop of water. Instead, it would go to a town or or habitation for which there is a quota of water as divinely determined, and it would be only there that it would rain. No one has the ability or the daring to acquire water from these clouds at any other place other than the town or habitation earmarked to have it. Other scientists have determined rules about the movement of monsoons based on which they can tell the course of a monsoon rising from the waters of the sea and identify where and how much it would rain. There are meteorological bureaus set up for this purpose in many countries, but experience shows that news released by these departments frequently turn out to be contrary to fact. When what is contrary is the divine command itself, the rules become ineffective. Winds and rain-laden clouds turn towards somewhere else contrary to foretold news, and weather experts cannot do much about it. In addition to that, any other rules and regulations proposed by meteorologists, they too are not contrary to the proposition that the movement of clouds obeys the divine command, because it is the customary practice of Allah Ta'ala that in all affairs of this world the divine command manifests itself from behind the curtains of physical causes. Human beings pick up these very causes and formulate some other rule or regulation based on them. Otherwise, reality lies somewhere elsewhere. After that, it was said, we pour down water, and then with it we bring forth all of the fruits. And then at the end of the verse it was said, this is how we bring forth all the dead on the day of Qiyamah, so that you may observe advice. Thus the sense of the verse is, the way we have given new life to the dead land and have brought out from it trees, flowers, and fruits, similarly on the day of Qiyamah we shall have the dead rise once again after their having been dead. And these examples have been set forth so that you would have the opportunity to reflect and deliberate. According to a narration of Sayyidina Abu Hurairah, Rasulullah ﷺ said, Surah horn will be blown twice on the day of Qiyamah. On the first surah, the whole world will perish, nothing will remain alive. On the second surah, a new world will come into being. The dead will become alive. The hadith also mentions an interval of 40 years between the two blowings of the surah, and rains would continue to fall throughout these 40 years. During this period, the body parts of every dead human being and animal will become assembled into giving them everyone a complete skeleton. Then, at the time of the blowing of the second surah, ruh, soul, they will enter these corpses. They will rise alive. A major portion of this narration can be seen in Al-Bukhari and Muslim. Some portions have been taken from Kitab al-Ba'ath of Ibn Abi Dawood.